What's going on, guys? Today we're back at Timms Harley Davidson for another Versus series. Today we have the 1200 iron versus the 48. Both of these are 1200cc Sportsters, but very different in styling and a few other features that we'll go over in this video. Before we jump into that, I want to remind you to check out First Manufacturing. They make very premium motorcycle riding apparel. That's what I wear when I ride. Specifically, their vest is what I'm interested in. The quality is like no other. The cost for what you're getting is insanely good, but if you use my code checkout, you'll take an additional % off of that. Let's jump into this comparison. So real quick, before we jump into this comparison, I just kind of wanted to do a walk around and let you guys see these bikes. It's hard to get them side by side. If you put them nose to nose, then one is leaning towards the B side or the kickstand side, so they look a little bit different. So I thought we would do a quick walk around just so you guys can see them together, which is always helpful for me. Like, I need to see, I'm a very visual person, I need to see two things side by side to really make a decision. So hopefully that helped you guys with the visuals on these two bikes. Okay, so looking at the front of these bikes, pretty drastic difference right off the bat. You've got the big 19-inch wheel on the front of the iron. Looks skinny, but that's a regular size tire. It's only because you're comparing it to the 48, which has that big wide tire on it. You get this nice little cowl fairing on the front of the 1200 that you do not get on the 48. However, now that I'm standing back and kind of looking at those, that might actually look pretty dang good. The 48's kind of a cafe racer looking bike to me anyway, so a little cowl on the front may actually look pretty good. As well as you get the much taller handlebars. The 48 has more of the, again, the cafe racer style look. So when you look at these bikes from the front, lots of visual difference. You get the standard forks on the iron, but again, compared to the 48 that has the really thick fork legs, they do look skinny. Reality, they're not. Moving back around to the back, like we said, you get the mini apes on the iron, more of the cafe style bar, moto style bar on the 48. Now, one thing you may notice, the difference in tanks. This one on the iron is significantly bigger, 3.3 gallons versus 2.1. Now, one of the things I really like about the 48 is that small little peanut tank. It's just got such a good look to me. But I think I may be in the minority but when I did the review of the 883, people were saying how much more they like this tank, which the 883 is going to come with this bigger 3.3 gallon tank on it. So I may be in the minority on the gas tank issue. You let me know down in the comments below. Obviously, for mileage reasons, I like the bigger one, but looks wise, I like that smaller tank personally. Now on your bars, everything's going to be the same. Analog speedo with the digital readout exactly the same. All the controls on the bars are exactly the same. The mirrors are flipped under on the 48, which is something I like to do to my bikes. If I bought the iron, I would do that as well. So all you do is take the right side off, take the left side off, and switch them. So the right side would be mounted down here, and then it would just come down underneath the bar, just like they did on the 48. And the reason for that is I think it makes the handlebars look much cleaner from the front when they're underswung. And for me personally, I just like the way that it looks when I'm using the mirrors. I feel like I can see more. I'm a little bit wider of a guy, so typically with mirrors like this, I can't see anything unless I put them underneath. Now, I just realized that I forgot to talk about the price difference in the intro, which is a pretty big deal. Although the difference is not significant, that is a big deal for some people. So you're looking at $11,200 for a Vivid Black Sportster 48, whereas you're looking at 10 grand even for a Vivid Black Iron 1200. Now, moving on to the seat, when I did the review of the 48, I criticized the seat. Although I love the way that it looks, I've found that with Harley seats, typically the better they look, the worse they feel and perform for me. Like I said, I may just not have enough of my own cushion, I don't know, but I do know that the one on this iron looks equally as good, if not better to me. I love that little bit of back support, so that may not look like much to the non-motorcycle community, non-motorcycle riders, but I can assure you even that little bitty bump in the back makes a big difference on a long ride. I love the stitching that they've done. It's not perforated, but it looks like it is. So those look like holes, but as I look close, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, they don't actually go through, it doesn't look like. So that's strange. It would be nice if they did, maybe the seat would breathe a little bit better, but not a huge deal that it doesn't. Now the tail end of these bikes is going to be exactly the same. You have the same adjustable shocks, which I like. I'm glad Harley moved to those a few years ago on the Sportster. It's a really nice feature. You're gonna get the same engine, the same exhaust. They look a little bit different, but that's just chrome heat shields on that one with the little cutouts, whereas these have the black heat shields that don't. So overall, these are about the same bike except for the front end and tank differences. That said, one of the biggest differences in these bikes will be your controls. So the 1200 iron will come with your mid control, which lends itself to a little more sporty riding. Your knees are a little more bent, you're in a more aggressive riding position. Whereas on the 48, you have the forward controls, which is beneficial if you want to stretch out, you're doing a little bit longer rides. For most people, it can be a little bit more comfortable to have the forward controls. So that is one thing I would look at when you're purchasing either of these bikes, is which type of control do you like? So it may be worth that little bit of money difference to go ahead and get the bike based on that alone. Because although either of these can be changed, you could put the forward controls on the 1200 iron, just like you could change the Sportster 48 to the mid controls. However, by the time you do the controls, pay for labor to have that done, I think you would have come out better. You won't have spent the full price difference in these bikes. However, you will spend a couple $100, I'm guessing, to do that. So for most people, it may be better to go ahead and just get it how you want it. Now, I've ridden both of these bikes, both of these models. They both perform well. Like we've talked about, the same exact engine, so same performance specs, same 5-speed transmission. The only difference is going to be your riding position. That's the only difference you're going to notice when you're riding, rather, is the riding position, the handlebars and the controls. Seat does feel a little bit different, but not a huge difference like on the short little test rides like we do. So really quickly, before I let you guys know which one I'm gonna choose, jump down in the comments and let me know which bike you would go with, which bike you're looking at, which bike you own out of the two. I'm very curious. Okay, so we've compared these two bikes and I'm still pretty torn. So looks wise, I really lean towards the 48. I like that bobber look, the real short, the fat front tire. I love the way this thing looks. However, for my riding style, I prefer a more sporty riding style, which is typically the taller bars and the mid controls like we have on this iron. So if I had to buy one of these two bikes, I would have to go for what's more practical to ride, not to look at. So I would go with the iron, but I'm doing that strictly based on my riding style. Not that there was anything wrong with the 48. Like I said in my review of the 48, I've always been pretty partial to the way that bike looks. It handles and performs well too. Just for my personal riding style, I'm gonna have to go with the 1200. Let me know down in the comments which bike you like and why. Also, let me know which bikes you would like to see compared that we haven't already done. Thanks for watching, guys.